This is a KIRBLOG all about Undertale, and I'm joined by Zach Holzman cause he's my friend. I hope you like the sound of our voices cause we probably will talk for hours on end. Hello, welcome everybody. This is apparently the week of anything and everything having to do with shit that Toby Fox has worked on, except for the Earthbound thing. If you were paying attention, I hope you enjoyed and listened to the Homestuck related stuff that I did with our good friend Johnny Aponte. I'm joined by Zach again. Hi, Zach. Say
hello.
Hi. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I want to start actually by saying thank you. And Bosco for coming on for the What's It Like at a Furry Convention KIRBLOG that we did a few months ago now.
Oh, yeah. No, that was my pleasure.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome. Had a really good response. A lot of people really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So welcome back. We're here to talk about a videogram.
Yeah, videogram.
Videogram, the one that I think you even mentioned at the end of that KIRBLOG about how much you love it.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be most appropriate to have you on. So we're going to talk about good old, it's not old, it's barely a fucking half a year old, Undertale.
Undertale.
Yes.
Woo!
So I surprisingly haven't gotten like as many requests by people to do this as a topic.
Really?
As you might think. Yeah, like, 'cause I don't have like, you know, any one comment of like, hey, can you such and such? I might have, and if I did, then if I missed you, then I apologize. But either way, here we are. So off the heels of the Homestuck conversation, I had mentioned like, oh, haha, one time I was at Otakon and I saw Toby and we hung out for a little bit, and he mentioned very briefly about how he wanted to get this game off the ground, and you know, which I would assume at the time, I never confirmed, but I would assume that was most likely Undertale, kind of the early stages of that, because that would have been like, I think like 2012 or 13, I think.
Yeah, that's a safe assumption.
Yeah, but I think that technically, Zach, your story might begin with mine, because I don't know if you played the demo when the Kickstarter was happening, but you definitely played the game before I did. Mm-hmm. So why don't you start off with, how did you get, tell the world, 1969, how did you get romantically involved with Undertale?
Oh, goodness, it was scandalous, really. No, I remember just, browsing Twitter one day. I kept seeing this name Undertale popping up, Undertale here, Undertale there. All my friends were talking about it pretty much nonstop. And I was starting to get a little bit curious about this game. I looked it up on Steam. It was like $10. I was kind of broke at the time, so I was like, if it goes on sale, I'll pick it up, because I'm actually that much of a cheapskate that I wait for things that are only $10 to go on sale.
Me too.
And then one of my friends was like, the fuck you doing? Just buy the game. Buy game. I was like, okay. So I bought the game. The same friend actually came over. He came over that night to hang out, and I was like, why don't we try this game? Like, do you think you'd have fun, watching me play it? Like, maybe I'll do some silly voices while I play it to keep things interesting. He was like, yeah, let's do it. And we just kept playing it, and I got really involved in this goddamn game almost right away. Pretty much the moment where I kind of fell in love, like I made that, oh, I love this sort of thing, was as soon as Toriel holds the player's hand and walks them across the room, I was like, oh, this game. Ah! So from then it was just love. And then like I got to the really goofy dogs, and of course I love goofy dogs. So like the lesser dog fight had me rolling on the floor, as did the greater dog fight. And then I actually got into all the characters. It was just doing the voices on the fly, like totally for fun. And it just, man, I fell in love so hard with that game. Oh, Lord.
I guess interestingly then, my story begins before yours, but it's not too dissimilar.
Yeah.
Because I remember, if I'm flashing back correctly to this, this was several years ago by this point. I think the Kickstarter had just launched, which I donated and plugged it around as per the usual, because I'm like, oh, this is Toby's project. Oh, this looks really cool. I want to support this. Yeah. And I played the demo of it at the time, and I didn't finish it, which certainly says something, because if I'm remembering correctly, I did in fact kill some enemies in that first dungeon, not truly realizing what the ramifications of that would have been years later when I would play the final game. But
you nutty boy.
No, apparently, yeah, I'm just an awful human.
The worst.
So I'm playing through this, and just from like the first moment, I remember it was as soon as I got into battle, after the little first conversation with Flowey. We're not going to get too spoilery just yet, although we probably will as we get along. But the opening with the first conversation with Flowey, meeting Toriel, having those cute moments with Goat Mom, as the internet likes to call her.
Yes.
I now own a plushie of her, so that's kind of the end of that story.
I want
I'm
that
in love.
plushie.
You idiot.
I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, when you have money, because
Yes.
cheapskate, right?
Yes.
I remember the moment I got into a battle with Frogget, and I saw what the battle system was like with the timed hit sort of thing and the Earthbound kind of interface, and the way that you dodge different attacks with the little mini games and everything. I was like, I have never played anything else like this before,
right?
And I'm sure too, probably more like what's the word? Like I don't want to say experienced, but maybe like seasoned in terms of like the variety of games that other people have played. I'm sure that a lot of the influences on what led to the creation of this game are probably a lot more outwardly obvious. I have only played up, ironically enough, with my experience with the demo, I have only played up until the first dungeon of Earthbound, I believe. I think I played maybe a little bit after that in my first year of college.
Really?
This was before the game was legally available on the Virtual Console. Sorry, Nintendo.
Oh.
I do absolutely aim to play Earthbound someday because I love those characters, and I would love, especially now that I know, this is where it all started for Undertale, really, when it comes down to it. That aside, I've never played anything like this. This is really, really cool. And I think I even remember like messaging Toby like on Facebook at the time, being like, dude, this is really cool. Like I hope that this does well. This is really something cool you got going on. And then time passes, and little side note, for those of you who may or may not have seen a little animated film called Potion Shop, which was created by Tammy Chang, of the character of the same name of which is based on, and etc. So I met Tammy through my friend Steven, who is the part of the duo of Ivy Surashu, the two creators of the Steven Universe soundtrack, and for Crime as well.
Fantastic.
Both wonderful people, great friends. I love the two of them to death. Steven was like, hey, so my friend Temmy's working on this animation, and she needs voices and like sound effects and stuff for this thing. Can you help her out? And I was like, sure. So I got together some other friends of ours who were local, Kimlin Tran, Xander Mobus, Edward Bosco, Ben
I know what animation you're talking about now.
Yes, and I dragged them all into Xander and Bosco's recording booth, and we did a bunch of animal cute sound effects and things.
Yes.
And sent that off, and Tammy was very kind to draw us a bunch of pictures of some characters that each of us voiced, which was very amazing of her. Then all of a sudden, Undertale comes out, and I'm seeing this character named Tammy popping up everywhere out of every orifice of every social media I fucking have. And I'm like, what's going on?
Now I'm thinking of social media orifices, and I don't know what to make of this mental image.
Some people have probably drawn porn of Facebook and Twitter like anthropomorphized, and they have orifices. So thank you for that. But
hey,
yeah,
you said it. You said it. Let the record show.
I did, and I fucking own it, and I don't feel bad about it. So suddenly Tammy is like a fucking icon, and I'm like, what in God's name? And which I'm very glad about, because she's also a wonderfully talented artist and a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to you, Tammy, if you ever hear this. And then like Undertale was just taking off. I was seeing the characters everywhere. I practically knew the entire cast of the game and the characters, of course. Before I finally last month made some time. I was like, okay, I finally need to fucking do this. And I began and made my journey through, and I did. I've done 3 playthroughs of the game thus far. My first attempt was, as I think I described to you off mic, a while ago, was yes, we're filming ourselves. I'm not wearing a shirt again, and thankfully Ben's not here to take a picture of it. I played my first go through, and once again I was inept, and I hit the wrong button and accidentally killed some enemies in the first dungeon. So my first playthrough was the, oh God, please, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to run, followed by a pacifist run.
Yes.
Followed by a speed run, which was a little more recently. I was able to beat the game, I think, in about like 3 or 4 hours or so.
That's impressive.
It was all right. And also I watched a Genocide run, and I fully accept that I am an awful person, and a certain character in there who insults me for doing so is fully entitled to do that.
You know what? I've never even had the chutzpah to even watch a Genocide playthrough. Though, funny story, I know a lot of the dialogue from the Genocide playthrough because I opened up for custom audio clips on my YouTube page a while back, and all my subscribers kept requesting Genocide Run dialogue. Of
course.
It was like, I can't
Why would
say
they
no
not?
to this. I can't say no to this. So now I know, like, pretty much all the fucking dialogue from the Genocide Run out of context. So it's like, great.
It's interesting, too, because so I watched the Genocide run in between my, oh god, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to, first playthrough run, and then the Pacifist run, because I wanted to end on a good note and not on a sad note. Because for those of you who don't know, if you know, I don't know how far into the game you are, if you've not gotten to try it yet or whatever, the kind of magical thing about this game is that literally every choice, everything that you do affects something somehow in some small, minuscule way at all. So if you choose the Genocide route and play it like a traditional RPG where you basically kill every and any and all enemy, and not even just that, but you have to go out of your way to literally genocide, kill every existing creature in all of the entire game that you can possibly access, aside from ones that are smart enough to run away before you can get the chance to kill them, then you basically are doing a Genocide run, and the story is completely different, and the interactions with the characters are completely different, and it's a lot of very juicy, heartfelt, like heart-wrenching dialogue and story, experiences and character interactions.
It's goddamn tragic, man.
Yeah, well, especially if you play through it already having, saved people. Like if you do a pacifist run where you don't kill anybody, or if you've at least tried your best to not be violent and not kill, very many enemies or any at all or whatever.
It's incredibly difficult after you've taken the time to do a pacifist run and you've really, truly fallen in love with these characters to then do a complete 360 and start harming them. It does things to you. It's messed up. It's really incredibly difficult to even fathom. For me, anyway. That like I said, I still haven't been able to watch a playthrough even of the Genocide run.
What's interesting about it too is that in a way, it almost kind of seems like it's like designed to not to be like the last thing that you should do. Like you do the like a neutral route of some kind, then you do pacifist or finish up the rest of it depending like if you were already doing pacifist up front, and then you do Genocide last. Because again, not to get too spoilery. But basically, the Genocide run also possesses the most difficult boss fights in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is another reason probably why I'm too hesitant to even bother trying.
Yeah, same.
But although that said, I do want to, on a side note, now that we're 13 minutes into this, I'm going to say, actually, you know what, right here. First of all, if you have not played the game yet, I think from now here on out, we're going to start talking about spoiler shit. And also, if you have not played the game yet, more importantly, please do yourself a favor, pick up this game on Steam and play it. It is not long. It will not take up too much of your time. It is, if you've been kind of like either maybe a little like, oh, I don't know, or like I'm hesitant, or I don't think I'm gonna like it too much or whatever, just give it a shot. It's as massively popular as it is for a very, very, very good reason. And I very, very much recommend that you give it a shot and play through it at least once to get a feel for everything, and then come back.
I'm gonna go ahead and second that motion, folks. Open up your Steam right now. If you don't have Steam, get it. Make an account. Go to the Steam store page. Find Undertale. Spend that $10. Download the game. It'll be the best $10 you ever spent in your entire life.
Yes, absolutely. So that said. Well, Zach, tell me, because I've been talking for a while. So when you started playing through the entirety of the game, what were some particularly like standout? I mean, obviously there's a lot, but some very standout kind of moments and things, just to, like about the story, the characters, like playing the game itself, like how you as a person were experiencing it, like anything at all like that you want to share.
I think the game does an extraordinary job of just pulling you in right off the bat. The moment that I mentioned earlier where Toriel holds your hand and guides you across the room, that happens maybe 3 minutes into the game?
More or less.
Yeah, more or less. And then it introduces you to this very strange, very curious world. The gameplay is quite addicting right off the bat. That certainly helps because, like you said earlier, there really is no other game like it. And it's so refreshing to people who have been playing RPGs for a long time. You know, everybody refers to the grinding process in an RPG where you spend like 5 hours just getting levels so you can beat a boss, and it's tedium upon tedium upon tedium. Undertale doesn't have that, and that's a really, truly refreshing thing for fans of RPGs, and I think even for, gamers in general. It's purely story-driven. It is one of the few purely story-driven games out there where the game progresses at a certain pace for you to maximize the experience of the story. Like I said, there's no side routes, there are no side quests, there's no hiccup in the experience of the game in relation to the story. And that's so addicting. And then these wacky, wonderful characters. I mean, the first time we meet Sans, there's the whoopee cushion in the hand, and Papyrus being so ridiculous and so hammy right off the top. Like, the first time you meet these characters, you fall in love. I don't know how Toby does it, but he is amazingly good at making you fall in love with his characters. And then once you peel back, you get a little bit further into the game, the meat and potatoes of the plot starts to sink in. There's one moment that I remember in particular. It's when you're about to face Asgore, and you're going through the corridors, and you're getting the storyline from all the different monsters who you've encountered in the game, one by one.
The literal Undertale.
Yeah, the literal Undertale. While that amazing, sad, beautiful song plays, I'm tearing up just talking about it. Pardon me. Just thinking about that song, I get teary-eyed. You should see me when that song plays. I start bawling like a baby, like a tiny baby man.
When you're streaming, does everybody watch know that you're like?
Oh God, yeah, no. When I stream Undertale, people know we're gonna watch Timber cry at some point. And by the way, there might be another one sometime soon.
Oh shit.
Anyway, yeah, and it just gets really emotional and really powerful and really heartfelt, and it's just an experience. It's not a video game. It's an experience. It's a work of art. It's probably the strongest argument that I've ever seen for video games as art.
Like are they art or not? Like,
exactly.
Consider them. Yeah.
The first one that I would point at, maybe aside from like the Silent Hill games, I would point at Undertale right away.
It's interesting because I haven't been making like as much time for games in the last several years.
Same, honestly.
And like the last few that I was making time for of my own accord were I played Pokemon Omega Ruby while I was away for the Christmas vacation. Mm-hmm. And before that, I was like surprisingly addicted to Mario Maker for Wii U when that came out, and that was actually right around the time that Undertale had also released. And I knew I was definitely going to play it at some point, and I knew that I was going to love it and it was going to change my life because that was kind of the general sort of like notion that I'd gotten from most people I know who are all like, it's the best thing ever.
It really
and I'm like,
is a life-changing game, isn't it?
It made me think. It changed the way I think about playing games and also making games. As I've been getting a lot more into game development through stuff like Cryamore and like A Hat in Time and Black Hole and stuff like that. And just seeing the process that goes into that, and also. Game Maker is a relatively, like, I don't want to say antiquated because that's not the right word, but it's not as dynamic of a game development piece of software compared to like Unity and stuff like that.
No, it's very. I think you could say it's straightforward. I think that would be accurate.
Sure, and Black Hole, if you guys haven't played that game either, which also would recommend that on Steam if you haven't, was also made in Game Maker, and it's surprising to me when like people can utilize it to its fullest and do such inventive shit with it, because with in the case of the gameplay, which you were talking about before, again, like I'm sure if I have played like a lot more other types of games that and specifically like other ones that I'm sure were like big influences on Toby's creative side, I'm sure I'd be able to more appropriately get, okay, this is like Earthbound crossed with this and this and this and this. So part of it, I'm
going to
biased
interject
in
here, and I'm actually going to
sure.
say I think that comparing Undertale's gameplay to other games in a way kind of cheapens it because it is so original and so different from anything else out there that I'm not even sure that really pointing at the influences of it really does it justice, because it's totally its own entity. I think it is probably the one time in gaming where you're going to see a truly original idea pop up after, all the pioneering groundwork has been laid, for years and years and years now. And here comes this thing that is truly one of itself. There is nothing else like it.
Well, for one thing, it's interesting you talked about the grinding stuff. I mean, RPGs have changed so much. I mean, when we get stuff like when we get a traditional turn-based RPG game like Bravely Default, which is a classic grindy type level up. Turn-based kind of game, which is totally cool because the whole point of that game coming out was people were like, we miss those kind of games, and nobody, not even Square, makes those anymore, really.
Yeah, I don't mean to sound like I'm trashing grinding games.
Oh no, not at all.
They're not my thing personally, but I can certainly see how folks enjoy them. I mean, outside of the Final Fantasy series and those old Square games, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, so on and so forth. I don't really do a lot of grindy type RPGs, but I can certainly see the validity in them. So
sure, and also I think them. RPG games have also evolved to Pokemon games are balanced so much more to where I don't think like X and Y as of recently, where you don't really have to grind that much, and it's much easier to level up. So just the experience of that, for instance, is just because with a game like Pokemon, it's like the experience is the social aspect and the collecting and what you're making of it.
Yeah.
Undertale is a game where as you were saying before, it's built entirely around the story experience. Which typically RPG games, obviously the gameplay has to be satisfying, but typically what I take away from RPG games is that it's the story that is at the forefront in terms of the enjoyment. That said, because I haven't seen very many people like critical of Undertale's like combat system, but the bottom line for that one, influences aside, it's very, very satisfying.
It is.
Like when I did the speedrun version of it, where I was just skipping through all the dialogue as I had already had the story experience, I was just getting a shit ton of enjoyment, like going through the battles and fighting the bosses and dodging the different attacks and the hair trigger kind of controls with moving the heart around and dodging all the bullets and blah blah blah. That that in and of itself, that's super satisfying, which is extremely important for developing any good video game at all.
Absolutely, yeah.
So yeah, it was a great experience, and I spent about a week and a half going through the whole thing and then doing the pacifist run, like a full pacifist run from start to finish after that. I'm
actually going to go ahead and say that I think the other really truly great thing about the combat system is that it takes this very, very simple. It's a very simple, I again use the word straightforward, idea at the beginning. And then the game builds on it and builds on it and builds on it and keeps building. Each boss fight changes the rules, which is so fascinating. It's truly that's the talk about video games nowadays. Where the boss fights, they always have to be different. I think Shadow of the Colossus kind of really started that whole idea. And Undertale took that in a much simpler way without borrowing too many influences from any other type of game. Just the idea that each boss fight is truly unique. And it delivered on that idea.
And even to a lesser extent, the enemies too. I mean, I actually love whenever you fight Sundar Plane.
Oh God, Sundar Plane.
In I think at the outskirts of the core in Hotland, where you have to go near it, just the cleverness of that puzzle, that's so cute and that's so funny, and having stuff like that for every individual enemy, and each of those individual enemies have their own kind of personality and almost kind of a backstory and everything. Because when I did the first playthrough and I accidentally killed, I think it was a Frogget and a Whimsum, I think. And maybe one other enemy. I think one of the Vegetoids. And then the dialogue that I got from Flowey after I defeat Toriel and don't kill her and I spare her and I go up into the next part of the monster world. In the underground, then Flowey is lists off all the enemies that I killed. He's like, don't you think that they had Toriels waiting back home, or they might have been somebody else's Toriel, and you just straight up killed them, not even thinking about that, they were just cannon fodder? And I'm like, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, and that makes me so sad.
Toby did a terrific job of if you do things in the game to hurt characters, the game is gonna hurt you back.
Yeah.
It's going to make you feel like a goddamn monster.
Yep. In every sense of that word, in fact.
Yes, exactly. I mentioned earlier that I now know all the Genocide dialogue out of context. And, oh God. I'm not going to go too in depth here, but, you feel like the worst person on planet Earth as you're doing these horrible things.
Well, on the note of the characters and, just your kind of attachment to them, I mean, something kind of interesting. I didn't hit up this too much in the Homestuck blog, but a little bit of what Johnny and I talked about is the kind of openness to interpretation with the characters.
Oh, yeah.
In which Zach, remind me, were you much into Homestuck? Like, did you read much of it at all or anything?
Not really, no.
Okay, well, because what's kind of interesting about that, and I'm sure that just being so heavily involved with it was probably also a big influence on Toby's development with like his creativity too. I would wager to guess that was a big factor in it itself. Andrew Hussey's characters are much like the Undertale characters, very, very clearly defined in the way that they speak and what their personalities are, without the use of basically anything audible, except for maybe arguably like their music, which is also the case for Undertale as well. In both the fact that Toby can, he wasn't the sole musician for Homestuck, because there were a few other guest musicians as well. But in the fact that there's no voiceover in either of those, right?
None at all. No.
But like the second that Sans and Papyrus, obviously.
Yes.
The second they show up, you get those characters. Like, you get exactly what they are, you get what their personalities are, you get their manner of speaking, you get their disposition and everything, and it's just so upfront.
But it's still very open to interpretation how they actually sound. I think what you mean is that based on your own life experiences, based on everything you've experienced in your own personal life up to that point, somehow these characters manage to be universal to each individual's life experiences.
Absolutely.
So regardless of where we've come from, we still fully understand these characters right off the bat.
Yeah, and like everybody from fucking the Skeleton Bros who were there consistently to fucking Doggo even, who's there for like a scene basically. Yeah. Like, they're all so like individualized and unique, and like their designs are so much fun.
Vivid characters.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it's interesting because like there's very few people I know who would like go through this entire game and not take away with like at least one character that I'm like, that character was really funny to me, or like really endearing to me, or really cool to me. Zach, obviously you've done a lot of different clips on your YouTube channel.
Quite a few,
of voicing lots and lots of different characters and doing your own kind of interpretations of what they would sound like. Even past that specifically, of like from a performance angle, who are some of your personal favorites, like the entire cast of the game?
If you held a gun to my head and told me, Timber, if you cannot tell me your favorite Undertale character within 3 seconds, I'm gonna blow your fucking brains out. I would have to say Sans.
Okay.
But the real answer is I love them all and they're all great.
Well, obviously Sans has much mystery and intrigue.
I think that's why he's so interesting to me. This is a little self-serving. It's also the voice that I'm the most proud of out of all the ones that I've done. I think I've consistently done some of the best acting that I've ever done when I play Sans on those silly little clips. And honestly, that's mostly why I keep doing them, is because it's such a good acting challenge, because the dialogue is so deep and so emotional that it really forces me to be the best actor that I can be in order to play these characters. But Sans, it's the sense of humor. We haven't mentioned much the humor of the game, by the way. The game is hysterically funny. Yeah. When it's not breaking your heart, it's making you burst a fucking gut. It is incredibly funny.
Kids, don't drink bottles of ketchup, by the way.
I mean, and like the humor, it can be sophisticated at times. At times, it's incredibly lowbrow. It just runs the full gamut, and it's always funny. Like, it never tries to be funny. It is just always funny. God knows how Toby did it. He just naturally has this quirky sense of humor. And, it's one of those rare gifts that I think very few human beings on planet Earth have. And somehow Toby has that gift.
Well, I mean, obviously, there were definitely some other folks that helped with the process of creating the game. But the fact that Toby is like such a multifaceted, I mean, the only other person that I've met who is like a musician first and then a game designer second is Andrew Allenson, who I worked with on Y2K. Who is also an amazing talent. And, when I meet people in the game development world who are like, jack of all trade, people who are, they excel at all of the 700 things that they do, whether it's programming, art and design and music and writing, and all those things come together. And then obviously, even having like a great crew to back them up. Tammy did great designs. Magnolia, who's one of the other co-character designers, et cetera. A lot of I'm sure even like the people that he had testing the game, for fuck's sake, it all comes together. But yeah, the fact that like Toby is so good at all those individual things, and they all shone so well in the final product. It's like I remember like when I finished through the game, when I finished like the true like the pacifist ending of the game, I hadn't like contacted him like in a while, and I reached out. I was like, dude, you are fully deserving of your success. This is a wonderful experience. Thanks so much for making this. I just wanted to even fucking like put that out to him, because I from what I took away from it.
People are taking some really amazing things away from this game. I remember a while back on Twitter, Toby was tweeting about, the awards and the accolades are nice, but what really counts to him is when somebody comes up to him and says, Undertale made me want to be a better person. It made me want to be kinder. It made me want to be more thoughtful. And for, as Toby himself has described it, a silly little video game with crappy graphics, to have that profound of an effect on human beings is, to me, it's remarkable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's stuff like this. It's a firm reminder. I mean, like, you were talking about like just even the character of Sans by himself, but even really in a way the entire cast of characters like inspiring you as an actor and a performer.
Completely.
I look at this game, and for me, I'm just like this like reaffirms like why I do what I do. Like, to have any kind of like positive impact like that on the people who would give enough of a shit to experience what it is that I've made, that I've written and created and animated or whatever. And like, because I just got back from Fanime like a couple weekends ago, where I met a bunch of wonderful people who were like, hey, like Tome really meant something to me, and like I love all these characters, and like they really like cheered me up. And it's like, it's even as simple as like I had fun watching this, and like it cheered me up when I was feeling bad, or even something as simple as that. Like, that is extremely meaningful. And like seeing how much of an impact something like Undertale has had, and even like the impact that it had on me in that same kind of way, it like truly reaffirmed. I like probably on the deepest level, that was the biggest thing I took away, is like how like great that was.
Same. I would say that it absolutely, not only did it change me as a person, me too. It made me want to be kinder. It made me want to be more thoughtful. Like, beyond all that, I mean, the game definitely changed me as a person, but it also just changed my perspective in a lot of ways. I mean, going back to the whole, leaving a positive impact on people. I've been, doing voiceover for a while. I've never really done anything at this point that I feel has had a tremendous impact on people on a personal level. It wasn't really until I started doing, I did these videos completely for fun, just completely for fun. Because it was like, hey, here's a chance to do some fun voices for some really fun characters that I love. Why not? Why not do an interpretation of these characters that maybe some folks out there haven't heard? Why not? It'll be fun. And the reaction that I've gotten just from these little videos has been, it's far surpassed anything I could have possibly imagined. I mean, I mentioned that I was doing the custom audio clips. My favorite clips to do were the ones where people just wanted my Sans voice encouraging them. Just saying things like, I believe in you. I know things are hard right now, but you can get through it. Be the best person you can be. People wanted me to say stuff like that to them in the Sans voice. And it was the most life-affirming feeling I've ever had, really.
That's awesome. Yeah, that when we did the Tome Season 2 crowdfunding campaign, and a lot of people donated and asked for clips of the characters, like doing requests and stuff, and a lot of people asked for like Nihilok and Zeto and Alpha and characters like and Game Crazed, characters like that, like giving people like life affirming like advice and speeches and stuff like that. Like even that in and of itself, like that was super meaningful to me in that same kind of way. And it's funny on the note of kind of to relate to you on the note of the performance aspect too. So those of you who followed my Tumblr, when I started playing the game, I was recording myself going through the game basically completely blind, coming up with voices for all these characters like off the cuff. The only predisposition things I had been told about the characters at all was Takahata of Team 4 Star fame. He said, "Dude, you and Chris Zito are my headcanon Papyrus and Sans, respectively." Which is the reason why when I did the recent Undertale cartoon that we just put out, that Zach was also a pleasure enough to voice a few characters in.
Yay.
I did that because I thought, hey, you know what? I didn't know anything about the characters yet. Obviously I knew who they were. I'd seen pictures of them everywhere, but I didn't know them as characters yet.
No.
And then so then like even just that vote of confidence, and then separately not knowing that Taka had said that, Liz had said, "Dude, you would make an awesome Metaton." Again, not knowing anything about Metaton, and I was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Oh, thanks." "Oh yes." And I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
And Scott's favorite, hands down, is fucking Metaton.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, so I started playing the game, and I just had a blast, just like doing just performing all this like great dialogue. Even fucking even Undyne, who if I were to ever do something with Undyne, I would never play that character because I would want obviously a woman to play her.
Yeah.
But just like even just like screaming her stuff while da 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 plays in the background, I'm just like, oh my god, she's so fucking rad,
it's
and all of her dialogue is
fun.
so rad.
Yeah, no, it was incredibly fun to do it live for me too. The first time I played the game. And then, the idea occurred, I had a lot of fun doing it live. Why not just, put it in a video? Why the hell not? It'll be fun.
Yeah. The some of the funniest ones too. Papyrus was lots of fun.
Of course.
Papyrus, I was proud of because I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but so be it. Because I didn't make him sound like Skeletor. I was proud of the fact that I just did something else that was like my own, and I was like, cool, yay! I'm proud of myself. Hooray! Pat on back.
Yeah.
But then, okay, hey, actually, I don't think I've told you this, Zach, but you'll get a kick out of this.
Oh, yeah?
You know what I generally kind of hear Alfie's as? I don't want to say flat out Charlie Adler doing cow.
Oh my
but
God.
But something kind of like, probably performed by an actual woman, but something like that. So like delivery is God.
Yeah.
And then and
see
also the funnest, probably the one that I had the most fun performing overall, but not one that like if I were to do something else with it, like cast myself as, was all of Flowey.
Yeah, Flowey's tremendously fun. Yeah.
And when I say that, I mean, fuck it, we're talking spoilers here. Ezreal, all forms of that character collectively was so much goddamn fun. And then as of recently, and a person who is currently now playing through the game because I got him to buy a copy and he's playing through it with his girlfriend. Suddenly the idea of Ben Diskin as Flowey, as in all forms of him, like Photoshop Flowey, regular Flowey, Ezreal, little kid Ezreal, and then God of Death, final boss Ezreal, like Ben as all of them collectively. I had like a fan jizz over like how fucking cool that would be.
And here's the great thing about the whole doing all the different voices for all the different characters. I actually don't like the idea of a headcanon voice. This one person is my personal choice for the voice of this character.
Absolutely.
I mean, these characters are so wildly open to interpretation. I think the more interpretations of these characters that are out there, the better. Mm-hmm. I wish more people would do this because it's so fun to hear I know how I do these characters. Now, how does Chris do these characters? How does so-and-so do these characters? Because it's this unique opportunity where a truly great character does not have a canon voice. Why then assign them a canon voice? Why not just let it be there are all these wonderful interpretations of this character out there and they're all fun to listen to on their own merits? Why can't that be a thing? You know what I'm saying?
Well, because that's also part of the value of the fact that there is no voiceover in this game.
Exactly.
So Undertale is the first thing, I think, since maybe Scott Pilgrim, that where it's been a pre-existing form of media that has the script and the visuals and everything and no voiceover to it, where I'm like, my God, I wish I could do an animated series based on this. Not since Scott Pilgrim took over the fucking world did I have that feeling until I played Undertale in the last month or two. And then it wasn't until later that I remembered the conversation that I had with Hani, Saffron Scarf, about when I wanted to do an official audiobook of Homestuck, which is again another great set of characters that have no established, well, even with people like Octopimp and Justin Briner, who's our pal, and and General Ivan, another friend of ours, of course, and even with like the more popular people that do official clips or that do unofficial like fan clips and things of different characters and stuff. And I don't even think that any of them, and certainly not you either, because you were telling me this when you came to visit here recently. I don't think anybody wants to be the canon voice of these characters. Yeah.
Fuck no.
And if they do, then fuck them. But I haven't seen any. I haven't seen anybody like actually be like that.
If I ever see anybody proclaiming themselves as the unofficial voice of Sans, I'll be like, honey, please.
Yeah. It's like getting fucking line with like the 20,000 other fucking people.
Honey, get that shit right out of here.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like because on the note of the of making an adaptation of it, I think it's great that people do like like fan cartoon. I had tons of fun doing like my little cartoon like in like a couple weeks of doing that, and like doing the little offhanded recordings of myself on Tumblr and like drawing fan art and stuff like that. It's awesome. I don't want anybody to get the idea of like you shouldn't be creative with your stuff. Absolutely not. But what I'm saying is I think that having like an official like and actually not even just the like official voices, quote unquote, but even having like an animated series, I feel would take away from like the kind of value of the medium, in that it's completely open to people's interpretation of not only what the characters sound like, but what you, as the person that controls the human, how you unfold the story. What happens, what these characters say to you, what happens to you, who you interact with, and who you kill, who you don't kill, what you buy, what you do, what side ventures you go on, etc. It is completely up to what you do. So even if it was just like as basic of like a adaptation of the Pacifist one or whatever, like as a cartoon series or whatever, if anything, I feel like that would just take away from, well, just play the fucking game.
Yeah, play the game.
You know what I mean?
Let it be your own experience, because that's what the game is designed to be.
Yeah.
It's designed to be your own personal experience. It gives you this wonderful world with these wonderful characters, and it just turns you loose to experience it however you want to experience it.
Like in my case, for instance, like maybe this might even be a little bit of like an equivalent to like the just the creativity and like just the fun of like getting to fuck around with the characters. I thought about like, okay, I see a lot of people do like, they'll just like flat out do animated versions of scenes from the game, which are awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have seen like that amazing animatic of like the Megaton fight,
the Flowey transformation animation.
And that as well. Yeah, there's like a CG animated version of that. There's like an animatic of the Megaton fight. There's like a version of the Undying fight as well.
Somebody did a 3D CG animation of the Sans fight using my voice clip, which I thought was really neat. Like that was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen that. I've seen the low poly Sans fight, which is by the Regressor, who's also stupendously talented. You have to link me to that one because I'd like to see that.
Yeah, will do.
And like in my case, I was like, okay, I want to do something that like that is of my own kind of like, okay, what if this fit in somewhere? So I thought about, I'll do a cartoon about why does Papyrus hate Greece so much? Sure, how about they go to Grill Beast for the first time, and all the goofy cartoon dog characters are there all the time, and they're made of bones. And so what if he gets burger grease on him, and then the dogs chase him out of the fucking thing?
Yeah.
And that was literally it. I was like, you know what, that'd be fun. And in like a couple weeks, I made that cartoon, and I was very happy. I had Zach, I had Zito, I had Bosco to help with recording, and he barked for the lesser dog because I'm like, I'm doing a cartoon with a dog barking. I can't not have fucking Bosco do one of these.
Yeah, you really can.
Because he would murder me if I didn't. And then Marissa
really
Lenti, Marissa Lenti in there as well. And then I had Living Tombstone, who's also a big Undertale fan, do some quick little arrangements of Sans theme and the dog song and everything, which was really fun.
Nice.
And it was just a good time, and I was really happy that I got to do that. And we're recording this we're time traveling as per the usual. So we're recording this like way ahead of like when the cartoon comes out. Hopefully you've all enjoyed it. I'll have an annotation to it linked on the video for you to go check it out. And of course I'll have links to Zach's stuff as well for you to go check out his clips and everything. I want to think about like what are some other like moments throughout the story of the game that really like stood out to you that were like cool or fun or memorable or anything like that that you really liked?
I think the most memorable thing for me, this will always be the most memorable thing for me. I was doing a live stream of the game with live voice acting, and I finally got to the final Ezreal fight. And, it's this really intense, really epic moment, but then it just becomes absolutely heartbreaking halfway through the fight. And I was performing the dialogue, I was acting it the best as I could, and then I just started crying. I just started crying my absolute eyes out, and I still had to perform the dialogue. And I'm like doing this in front of, I think, 100 people were in the stream watching me cry, basically, while still trying to read this goddamn heartbreaking dialogue. And it's one of those moments I'll never forget that. Like I'll never forget the fact that I played this game and cried in front of 100
people. Was that the first time that you like experienced that part of the playthrough?
No. I'd seen that scene several times prior. Just playing through the game, and it was certainly very emotional for me just playing the game. But actually having to perform the dialogue at the same time made the dialogue that much more powerful. And yeah, man, the tears, it was Niagara Falls. Falls.
It's funny because the first time I experienced that, and I was recording myself playing through it. When I finished the game, like the entire thing, I was like, you know what? I actually don't want to upload this because I want this experience. For me personally, I want this experience to just be my own.
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to like upload like my initial like experience because I cried too. I was like I was losing it while I was going through it.
It's kind of hard not to cry during that scene.
Yeah, just let me win. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the battle's over and we see little kid Ezreal and just that whole. I'm like, oh no,
fucking heartbreaking.
Can't do it.
Fucking heartbreaking.
Scott recently showed me. I'm trying to. It's like a webcomic, like a fan webcomic. I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's like. Oh, it's a Dreamer Reborn. I had to check out my my fucking bookmarks, but it was about like Kara as they existed, I guess, if you want to put it that way, and then like and Ezreal like when they were kids and everything, and it was really cool. I saw some little bits and pieces of that. For me, really funny moments. Most of the stuff involving Alfie's. I mean, she cracks my shit up, and particularly the hot date at the junkyard with Undyne.
Oh
some
Lord,
funny shit. The Toriel showdown in the beginning, another great moment. Absolutely. The Papyrus date is really funny.
I love the Papyrus date.
A lot of the funnier moments were ones that majorly stand out to me.
It's hilarious. It's one of those moments. That moment is hilarious, but it is also really heartfelt because you really see who Papyrus is as a person, as a skeleton, as a person,
as a skeleton person.
Yes, you really see who, I believe that is the politically correct nomenclature. You truly see who Papyrus is as a skeleton person.
Thank you. Yeah, we're very PC here.
Extremely.
Because we play the game on a PC. Hey,
I
don't. This is the sound of Sundar plane fucking crashing.
This is the sound of agony. Continue.
God, what else? Having not played through it myself, I guess I feel like ashamed to say this, but Undyne's speech as they transform
and the genocide run.
Yeah,
yes.
The undying scene. And like those two tracks leading up to it as well. I'm just like, oh, okay, it, like are just incredible. Yeah. Probably the coolest boss fight, like in terms of like the gameplay, like in and of itself.
I know what you're gonna say.
Is for my favorite one was the Metaton boss fight.
That's a good one.
What's your favorite boss fight?
I could have sworn you were going to say Muffet.
Muffet's really cool too. She's not my absolute favorite one, but she was a really fun one for sure.
That's a really good one.
I was stoned for my insolence by Tomar at a party recently when I said that I like the dummy version of that battle theme more than Spider Dance. Because apparently Spider Dance is the one that I'd like, no, that's the better one. I'm like, but I like, actually, no, you know what? Special mention to the fucking Mad Dummy. I love the Mad Dummy.
I love the Mad Dummy. That was one of my favorite videos to do too. Cause I just get to scream like an idiot the entire time, and it's so tremendously fun.
Oh God. And also, and this kind of ties in with then I was going to ask the next question of favorite music tracks, like overall. Bergen Trucking and Asgore, that moment at the end, like leading into the boss fight with him, is just like
Unbelievable.
ooh, holy shit! I love his theme to death.
Asgore's boss theme is absolutely, it's breathtaking.
Is that which is your favorite track if you had to pick like maybe like a few at least of throughout the whole game?
My favorite Undertale track is Undertale.
Okay, awesome.
Hands down. Like I said, I cannot hear that song without getting
Without
extremely
crying.
emotional.
Yeah.
And then some other favorites are Hopes and Dreams, the one that plays during the final Ezreal battle. Love that song. Love it for days. Yeah, the Asgore theme is brilliant. I mean, fuck, all the goddamn boss themes are fucking brilliant. The Sands fight in the Genocide run, fucking brilliant. The Toriel battle theme, fucking brilliant. Like, they're all so good. It's nearly impossible to, like, choose a favorite.
A raw cool moment for sure as well is the Photoshop Flowey, which actually I'll even say to you, Zach. So your because I think you even described like my Flowey voice is like kind of like unexpected from what most people usually think of.
It's very different. Yeah.
While it is not what I typically think of for that character,
Most people
the laugh that you did for the Photoshop Flowey scene, sometimes I'll just go back and just like listen to that again because it's so fucking cool.
I am very proud of my psychotic laughter. That is something I spent many years practicing, believe me.
Well, we can blame the fucking Joker.
We can blame the Joker.
Thank you for that sample.
You're welcome.
Photoshop Flowey, and also that music, particularly the piano version, led into like the just fuck everything. You're fighting back and you're killing Photoshop Flowey. That whole like fight, the end of the neutral run, I suppose you could say. That in and of itself is fucking badass. And then also. The hangout session with Undyne was just adorable. Fucking Papyrus jumping out the window. I have to go to the bathroom.
That scene is fucking hysterical.
And then the just the creepiness of like the True Lab and like showing kind of like the shit that Alphys has got going on underneath.
God damn.
Yeah, all the amalgamate enemies. It's just like ugh.
Chilling to the core.
Yeah, and also on the note of because I guess all these are often like in tandem with their music track too, like they're so tied to the music that goes with them.
Yeah.
I love Megalovania as a separate piece entirely from Undertale, just because of the fact that like, well, no, actually, and before that, it was in the Earthbound Halloween hack.
Ooh.
So the fact that like it's a consistent because I can't even imagine.
Toby's had that tune up his sleeve for a long time then.
Oh yeah, and like I can't even imagine like for probably the many Homestuck fans that probably all played the game on day one that were like massive followers of Toby's music to get up to that point and hear that song like that's like an equivalent almost of like people in Japan who grew up with Dragon Ball in the correct order and then fucking 100 billion episodes in and suddenly Goku, you're an alien. What?
Yeah,
like. That must have been really cool to hear like that, especially in that kind of context, because it's such a great rendition of it, and I love the earlier versions of it too. I'll still sometimes go back and listen to the Halloween hack and the Homestuck versions of those as well. But yeah, that one as a song, I love that one to death, but I also love it separately from Undertale compared to all the other stuff. The credit sequence, which includes the last bit of the Save the World track
fun.
in it.
Yes.
That whole thing. And I don't know if I'm sure you probably have read this somewhere, but like in the very last part of the credits where it's the special thanks flying everywhere, and it's that little bit where it's just raw piano and it's just a recording of Toby playing the piano, and he described it as like, this is my self-expression. It's like that's really really fucking cool. Like just that little like bit of it in and of itself.
Yeah, man, that's real.
Yeah, and also the dog representing him, but
the annoying dog.
God, what else is there? Well, I see. Typically, the way I do this, we've practically tackled all the way that I typically go about these sort of subjects. But it's like, how did you get into it? What are your favorite moments? What do you think about it has stood the test of time? And it's only been out really for like a little over a half a year at this point. And we've already kind of said so much about all of those things, but. I don't know what else is there really about this game, this experience that you think really like why it is so deserving of like the massive amount of success that it's accumulated so quickly.
It's a game about monsters primarily that also manages to be incredibly human. It's such a human game. It speaks to the humanity in all of us, just in a way that is so potent and so powerful. The message of the game. I mean, I even think there is no real concrete message. It is just kind of whatever you take out of it. But what most people tend to take out of it is just this incredibly positive, life-affirming, like I said, human message of like we're capable of being so much better than we are.
And be nice to people.
No, not just be nice to people. Like,
don't kill people.
Well, no shit, Kerbifer. It's so much more than just be nice to people. It's just be human. Be a good human. Be the best. Yeah, God, so many words. Like, I'm not even sure how to properly phrase it. It's just one of those things where it's hard to put into words, but when you've experienced that feeling after you play the game, you just know. Like, you just know that feeling, and that feeling stays with you pretty much forever. I don't feel like I will never forget this game for as long as I live. It has reshaped my life. It has changed my life. It's changed me as a person. It's changed my fates. It's changed everything. And I know that a lot of other people who have played this game feel the same way, that it's just changed everything for them.
If anything, too, what I'm really kind of hoping is that, I hope that it not only us and the people who just play it as a game, I hope that it also changes, even if just some small way, and maybe it kind of already has for all I know. I hope that it changes the scope and the production of games in general, and like the idea behind them, because I think that if people think differently about interactive experiences and those kind of things with the art of creating video games, because I would say video games are art, even though they're interactive. They are still like they're a form of expression.
Absolutely.
And they can be as powerful and as impactful as non-interactive experiences. So yeah, I certainly hope, and you know what, again, like I said, maybe it already has. Maybe a lot of the bigger companies are looking at this and being like, wow, this is wow.
I think a lot of big companies are looking at this game. It's made a lot of waves.
Yeah. And a lot of money. Yeah, and I'm happy to have. I'm glad that I was able to, even I don't even remember how much I donated, but just even like a little small amount to the Kickstarter when it was going on.
Yeah.
And I bought the game and the soundtrack separately. I didn't even end up like getting the fucking bundle, because I think I ended up just like I beat the game and I was like, I want to own the soundtrack immediately and not just fucking look it up on YouTube. And then I bought my Toriel plushie while I was at PAX East, and that was awesome.
I'm gonna buy the dog pins.
Yay!
And one of the T-shirts probably, and the plushies probably. I'm gonna buy it all.
Buy it all forever. I guess that's kind of all there is to say for now. So Zachariah, would you like to give a little? I mean, obviously, I'm gonna have annotations up, but would you like to give a little plug to your personal stuff where people can check you out and see all your Undertale and not Undertale related things?
I mean, sure. I'm so bad at self-advertisement. I do the voices for the video games. Currently, it's mostly just Undertale-related dubs on my channel. I'm going to be trying to expand that into, like, maybe some streams, maybe some more video games, like some retro video games where the characters didn't have voices, or newer indie games like Undertale where the characters don't have established canon voices, and just kind of throwing my own interpretations of them at the wall and seeing what sticks. But again, more so than checking out my stuff, I do want to emphasize to everybody that there is no right or wrong voice for these characters. Everybody has their own idea of these characters, and every idea, so long as it is well acted and well executed, should be equally appreciated on the exact same playing field. Because like I said, this game is such a personal experience for a lot of people, and certainly the voices are also very personal to these people, like, you know, where their inspirations come from for the voices they choose for these characters, very deeply personal. And so in many ways, when you're watching a dub of somebody who's doing an Undertale voice, like, you're kind of watching an expression of themselves in a very deep way. And so, like, please keep that in mind. Like, you know, don't go around saying, like, so-and-so did this better than so-and-so. That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. Each interpretation should be viewed as its own merits.
I agree, and everybody, I think this is one of those things where, like, it really is up to each of you individually to take away in whatever way, by all aspects of this experience, like your own experience. So I would say here to that. I would also recommend any of the Paper Mario games for if you end up doing that for your streams, because those are those have much to have fun with, I will say. Well, Zachariah, thank you for playing with me today. This was a lot of fun.
It was fun to be here, Christopher.
Excellent. I'm going to get some dinner now, even though we're recording this on fucking like Sunday, like almost a week ahead of when this is going to be uploaded. But thank you also everybody for listening, and of course also if you, in addition to checking out Zach's stuff, I'll have an annotation on screen to please check out First Time at Grillby's, the Undertale cartoon that I just did recently.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun to
Watch
do.
it.
It was a fun little experiment and features Zach in here as Doggo.
Yay.
And is Dogami the guy one or the girl one?
Doggerisa is the gal.
Doggeressa. Okay, so you're Dogami and myself and Chris Zito of Parody Rangers fame as the Skeleton Bros. And it was a lot of fun, so I hope you enjoy it. If you listen to this the whole way and you haven't played Undertale, then fucking shame on you. Go get it.
Play the game!
But in the
Play it!
otherwise, in the comments, Barrow, please tell us about your experience and your thoughts and your favorite characters, moments, memories, things, anything at all whatsoever.
Please.
Regarding Undertale. If you have fan things to share, maybe like fan art or fan clips or anything like that whatsoever, just send a link if you'd like to share that in the comments as well. I'd be more than happy to check them out. And yeah, so if anything at all you want to share about the game, and again, if you haven't, then fucking play it for Christ's sake. Otherwise, thanks for listening. And if you have future suggestions for KIRBLOG topics, leave a comment about that too, or hit me up on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Thank you all. We'll catch you on the surface world. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Play the game.